again for another EDOPRO deck profile. Hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment any decks you guys want to see, and blaze up that subscribe button. So let's get this started. Today is another deck that Mandela requested of me to build because he wanted to, and I quote, have a battle of epic wits, end quote. Anyways, today's deck is of Obolisk, the Tormentor. Yeah, he wanted to fight Obolisk versus Slifer, and of course I had to use Obolisk. I prefer Slifer, but this deck works well enough. So anyways, let's get this started. Before we get on to this, you'll all be surprised that this deck's actually pretty good, considering the mishmash of cards I just threw in here at a random's notice. Because I actually tried to build my deck here, so yeah, this deck's actually pretty good because it's actually tried. So first up, we got 3 copies of our ace boy right here, Obolisk, the Tormentor. Level 10, 4,000 attack, 4,000 defense. Requires 3 tributes to normal summon him. Cannot be normal set. This card's normal summon cannot be negated. When normal summon, cards and effects cannot be activated. Neither player can target this card with effects. And once per turn during the end phase, if this card was special summoned by any means, send it to the grave and you contribute 2 monsters, and if you do, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. This card cannot declare an attack the turn this thing activates the effects. So let me break down for you what basically this means. You can only normal summon it by tributing, or you can special summon it, but it's going to die at the end of the turn. Your opponent can't touch it, they can't negate it, they can't stop it, and he can nuke their field. Pretty much, this symbolizes the reason of why it's called a god card. Next up, 3 copies of Raw's Disciple. You can't build a god deck without this thing in it. Level 4, 1100 attack, 600 defense. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon up to 2 Raw Disciples from your hand to your deck. Cannot be tributed except for the tribute summon of Slifer the Sky Dragon, Obolisk the Tormentor, or the Winged Dragon of Ra. You cannot special summon monsters except by the effect of Raw's Disciple. Pretty much, you bring out Raw Disciple, bring out 2 more Raw Disciples, keep them alive till the end of the next turn, then bring out Obolisk and then beat the shit out of your opponent with it. Really good card. 3 copies. 3 copies of Celtic Guard of Noble Arms. Level 4, 100 attack points, 700 defense points. Cannot attack while you have any other cards in your hand. Once per turn, you can special summon 1 Celtic Guard monster from your hand. When this attacking card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can draw cards equal to the number of Celtic Guard monsters you control. Pretty much, here's what you do. You bring out Celtic Guard of Noble Arms, and you bring out another Celtic Guard. You keep this thing alive till the end of your next turn along with the other Celtic Guard. Then you bring out another monster, hopefully bring out another Celtic Guard, then tribute all of them to bring out another Obelisk. Pretty much spam with this thing. This thing is not really meant to attack. It's meant to be here as like a 21k beat stick as a wall, and you just use it to bring out Obelisk faster. And if you deal battle damage to your opponent, you can draw cards equal to the number of Celtic Guards you have, which can help you search for Obelisk more. So 3 copies. 3 copies of regular Celtic Guardian, 1400 attack, 1200 defense, level 4. It's mainly here for this thing and its level, because most of the Xyz monsters in this deck are level 4s, or at least the important ones are level 4s. 3 copies of Obnoxious Celtic Guardian. If I've been saying 4, I mean 3. Anyways, 3 of him, because 1400 attack, 1200 defense, level 4, same stats as the other one, except cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster that has 1900 or more attack. Since these 2 are considered different monsters, you can put them in the same deck. Really useful. This guy's slightly more important than the other one because, kind of harder to kill this thing, and I mainly put this in here as a counter, quote-unquote, counter to Slifer, since Slifer's attack is more likely than not going to be over, well, since Slifer can only kill this with 2,000 or higher attack because of its ability. This thing is just like an infinite wall against Slifer. It still works on the deck regardless, it's just mainly here to target Slifer. But 3 copies, really useful. 3 copies of Terrifying Toddler Torment. Now this was actually here for Obolisk. 0 attack, 2000 defense, level 3, flip. You can send 1 Fiend monster from your deck to the graveyard. If this card is sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard by any means, you can special summon this card in face down defense mode. You can only use each effective Terrifying Toddler of Torment once per turn. Pretty much, here's what you do. You set this down during your first turn. Your opponent rams into it. Hopefully it doesn't kill it. Skill, you flip it face up and you send itself from the deck to the graveyard. Skill, the one that was just sent to the graveyard. Bring it back, face down. Hopefully they don't attack into it. Next turn, flip it face up. Skill, bring it back. And then Send one to the graveyard, bring it back. Use, I don't know, and then you can tribute them with Obolisk because you didn't summon this turn. So, really good card, 3 copies. 3 copies of Acorno. Level 1, 200 attack, 400 defense. During your main phase, you can send this card from, you can send 1 Pycorno from your hand or from the hand to the graveyard if you do special summon this card. Pretty much ways to get an Obolisk faster. 3 copies of Pycorno. If this card is sent to the graveyard by the effect of Acorno, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. Pretty much, it's not once per turn. Have 2 of these in hand of each. Bring out Obolisk a lot faster. 3 copies. 3 copies of Dark Lawn. When this card is normal summoned, you can have all face-up monsters you can currently control. Gain 1 level. Also, they become dark. These effects last until the end of the turn. 3 copies, 100 attack and 100 defense. Pretty much by itself, this is the only other dark monster in the deck. Nope, it's the only dark monster in the deck besides this thing, which it could actually raise its level on, but based on a certain card we're about to get to, or going to get to in a while, this actually becomes a lot more useful, so 3 copies. 3 copies of Pot of Greed. Draw 2. It's literally here just to try to draw into this thing faster. 3 copies of Rank Up Magic Barion's Force. Target 1 face-up Xyz monster you control, special summon from your extra deck 1 number C or C, XYZ monster with the same type as the monster you control but 1 rank higher by using it as Xyz material, and it counts as an Xyz summon. And then if possible, detach 1 Xyz material from your opponent's Xyz monster and attach it to the summoned monster as an Xyz material. Pretty much, this deck has a good amount of rank up monsters. You put this in here, steal their overlay units, equip it to your own monster, then use it to beat the shit out of your opponent with. So 3 copies, really decent. 3 copies of Magical Mallet. Pretty much, you get any number of hand cards you want, send them back to deck, and then draw the same amount. So pretty much mulligan your whole entire hand, if you want. 3 copies. And then, this card is a part of my favorite spell combo in real life. I put it in here because I've always wanted to put it in my decks, but I never had space for it. I have, and it happened to work, and it happened to be a counter against Cypher. So, really good combo, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it. 3 copies of Exchange. Both players reveal cards in their hand and add 1 card from each other's hand into the other hand. So pretty much, you take a hand card from your opponent, and your opponent takes a hand card from you. Which could end up backfiring if they decide to take Obelisk, but still, good card. And then 3 copies of the other part of the combo. Card Destruction. Both players discard as many possible cards from their hand, then each player does the same number of cards they discarded. Pretty much, here's what you do. You place Exchange face down. You activate Card Destruction. Nuke your hand, nuke your opponent's hand, you both draw the same amount. And then you get rid of any cards that you don't want your opponent taking from Exchange. Then you use Exchange itself. They pick one of your cards, and you pick one of their cards, and you just take it. And you could possibly get a better card than they do. Really good card, really good combo. 3 copies. 3 copies of my favorite rank up spell, Rank Up Magic Numeron Force. Target 1 face-up Xyz monster you control, special summon from your extra deck 1 number C monster with the same type as that monster you control, but 1 rank higher by using it as Xyz material, and it counts as a Xyz summon. Then, if any face-up cards are on the field other than this card and the monster summoned by it, negate the effects of those other cards. So, pretty much if your opponent has a field spell, spells or traps, or monsters face-up, negate them. If I'm correct, this can target other gods. So, if your opponent somehow did take Obolisk, yeah, because it doesn't target it, it just affects it. Yep, it can be targeted. So, pretty much if they somehow do take Obolisk, and you just rank up using Numeron Force, and they have Obolisk, you can just nullify Obolisk abilities, so which means you no longer have to be terrified of it, since it's not targeting, it's just hitting everything. So, 3 copies. 3 copies of Lair of Darkness, the card that combos with Dark Lawn. A field spell. All face-up monsters on the field become dark. This is here because it actually has some tie to Obelisk, and it has ties to this, because this makes it a lot easier to Xyz summon a certain monster in the extra deck, and this is also why these guys are here, but it also makes it a lot easier to bring out Obelisk. So once per turn, if you would attribute a monster you control to activate a card effect, you can attribute 1 dark monster your opponent controls. And since all monsters on the field become dark monsters, you can just use their own, even though you don't control it, which I'm correct if they have, in the sense, another god, and you have Obelisk, you can use your Obelisk ability to sack their god, since it's not targeting by effects, it's just attributing it, which is the fun part. You can just use your opponent's monster as the cost for your move. Amazing card. But that's not it, though. Once per turn during the end phase, special summon as many Torment tokens, Fiend, Dark, level 3, 1000 attack and defense, as possible to the turn player's field in the defense position, up to the number of monsters attributed this turn while this card is face up. This is pretty much here. You tribute 3 monsters to bring an Obolisk, right? So basically you sack 3 to have 1. Well, guess what? If you have 3 extra monster zones open, you can get them back. Because as long as this thing was on the field when you did it, you can just get them back. Granted, it does help your opponent if they're doing it too, but still, really useful card. 3 copies. 3 copies of the Continuous Trap card. Resurrectium Xyz. So all Xyz monsters you control gain 800 attack. Once per turn, you can discard 1 spell, then target 1 face-up Xyz monster you control. Special summon from the extra deck 1 number C or 1 KS Xyz monster with the same type as that monster you control, but 1 rank higher by using it as an Xyz material. And if you discarded it is treated as Xyz summon. And then if you discarded a card other than rank up magic spell to activate this effect, return the special summon monster to the extra deck during the end phase. So pretty much gives all your Xyz monsters power, and you get a free rank up. And since I'm not so sure about this, I think certain Xyz monsters in this extra deck have to be brought out with certain rank up spells. This is pretty much here to rank them up easier, but mainly for the power. 3 copies. 3 copies of Jar of Greed. Draw a card. Meant to get this thing faster. Jar of Avarice. Send 5 cards in your graveyard back to your deck that isn't a Jar of Avarice, and then draw a card. You can only use one per turn. Pretty much, here's what you target. This, and then this and this. Or like anything else in this deck. You mostly the targets are Obelisk, this thing, and this thing. And these guys if you want them. But yeah, 3 copies. 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. When a monster would be summoned or a spell or trap card is activated, pay half your life points. Negate the summon or activation if you do destroy that card. Pretty much, anything poses a threat to your Giant God card, no. That's all there is to it. Just no. You want to summon a monster that's stronger than Obelisk? Guess what? No. You want to use an ability that targets Obelisk? Guess what? No. Just no. You don't get to have fun. Now into the extra deck. 1 copy of number 65, Jin Busta. Rank 2, 1300 attack, 0 defense. You may notice that we don't have any actual level 2s in this deck. This is where this thing comes in, and this, because it makes everything dark, and this just gives you levels. So, useful combo. Anyways, 2 level 2 dark monsters during either player's turn when an effect or opponent's monster is activated. You can ditch 2 Xyz materials from this card. If you do, negate the activation and inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. Deal 500 points of damage and pretty much stop their activation altogether. Really useful. 1 copy. 1 copy of number 6, Chaos 65, King Overfiend. Rank 3, 600 attack, 0 defense. 3 level 3 dark monsters. Once per turn, you can ditch 1 Xyz material from this card, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 1000 attack and defense. And while Gym Buster is an Xyz material on this card, it gains the effect monsters your opponent controls cannot activate their effects. Pretty much anything on your opponent's field becomes a vanilla, and this thing can just constantly weaken their monsters. 1 copy. 2 copies of number 96, Darko Mist. Rank 2, 100 attack, 1000 defense, 3 level 2 monsters. Once per battle, during either player's turn, when an attack is declared involving this card and an opponent's monster, you can ditch 1 Xyz material from this card, half the attack of your opponent's monster, and if you do, this card gains the same amount of the attack. Pretty much, this thing's going to be always, on the first attempt, obviously, its attack is going to be 100 points higher than your opponent's. So, like, say they attack your monster with a monster with 4,000 attack, Dark Mist will end up gaining 2,000 attack, so its attack will be 2,100, and the other monster would be at 2,000 attack, because the attack was halved. So 2 copies. 2 copies of number Chaos 96, Dark Storm. Rank 3, 1000 attack and defense, requires 4 level 3 dark monsters, or just Dark Mist, and then rank it up using one of these 2. And this card cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, all battle damage you take from battles involving this card are inflicted to your opponent. So pretty much you take damage, they take damage too, and they can't murder this thing easily. And its other effect is gained if you have Dark Mist as an overlay unit. Once per battle during either player's turn, when an attack is declared involving this card and an opponent's monster, you can ditch 1 Xyz material from this card. The attack of the opponent's monster becomes 0, and if it does, this card gains attack equal to the original attack of that monster. Pretty much, your opponent attacks into you, because they have something that may be able to kill you. This thing's skill. Get rid of an overlay unit. Your thing becomes 0, and my thing gets your power. Pretty much, don't ram into this unless you have an actual thought-out plan that can stop it, because if you don't, you're going to get a very painful result for you. 2 copies. 2 copies of number 10, Illuminate. Rank 4, 2,400 attack, 2,400 defense. 3 level 4 monsters. Once per turn, you can ditch one of these material from this card. Send one card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, draw a card. Pretty much here to get extra draws, hopefully draw into an Obolisk, and that's pretty much it for him. And he also has good power. 3 copies of number 39, Utopia! If any of you know me, you would know that's my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card of all time. 2,500 attack, 2,000 defense, rank 4, 2 level 4 monsters. When a monster declares an attack, it doesn't matter if it's yours or your opponent, you can ditch one of these material from this card, negate the attack, and if this card is targeted for an attack where he has no excuse materials on him, destroy this card. Pretty much, he dies if he has no materials on him, if he's targeted for an attack, so even if the attack is weaker, it still counts, but he can still defend himself, and anything else in your field, mainly here to get back Obolisk. But we all know the real reason why he's here is because I could not make this deck without him once I saw I had enough space for it. 3 copies. 2 copies of number Chaos 39, Utopia Ray V. Rank 5, 2,600 attack, 2,000 defense. 3 level 5 monsters. When this card in the or just rank it up using one of these 2. And when this card in the owner's possession is destroyed by your opponent's card by battle or card effect, you can target one Xyz monster in your graveyard, return that target to the extra deck, and if it has Utopia as an Xyz material, it gains the following effect. Once per turn, you can ditch one Xyz material from your graveyard, and then target one monster your opponent controls, destroy that monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the destroyed monster had on the field. Pretty much, they bring out a huge buff monster, you bring out this thing, that's about to come back in the ass. 2 copies. 2 copies of number Chaos 39, Utopia Ray Victory! Rank 5, 2,800 attack, 2,500 defense, 3 level 5 monsters. If this card, or just rank it up with one of these, and if this card attacks, your opponent can activate spells or traps until the end of the damage step, and if this card has a Utopia monster as an Xyz material, it gains this effect. Actually, that's important to notice, because these just say a Utopia monster. It doesn't have to be this thing. So you could use this thing as this thing's overlay unit if you somehow manage that, or vice versa, because as long as they're Utopias, it counts towards the cost. Anyways, when this card declares an attack on the face-up monster your opponent controls, you can ditch one of Xyz material from this card. If you do, negate the opponent's face-up monster's effects. Also, this card gains attack equal to the opponent's monster attack. These changes last until the end of the turn. Pretty much, here's what you do. You use rank up magic Neuron Force to rank up this thing into this thing, nullify everything other face up on the field. If you can't nullify monsters, that's okay. Then you use this thing's ability when it attacks to nullify all the spells and traps, or prevent them from using them, which means their whole entire spell and trap card zone is locked down, so is their field spell. Then you use its another ability to basically make it so that your opponent's going to take 2,800 points of damage. Its attack since it gains the total attack of the other monster, so it's always going to deal 2,800 points of damage, or whatever this thing's attack is at the time. And then you just nullify that monster's ability, which means it's just a guaranteed attack. 2 copies. 3 copies of Rank Up Magic Limited Baron's Force. Target one Xyz rank 4 Xyz monster you control, pretty much only this guy. And you can special summon one Chaos number monster from your extra deck that is 1 rank higher than that monster you control. By using it as a Xyz material, it counts as a Xyz summon. This is pretty much here just in case you need more rank ups. That's all it does. 3 copies of Infinite Impertinence. Trap card. Target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Negate its effects until the end of this turn. And then if this card is set before activation, is on the field at resolution. For the rest of this turn, all of the spells and traps are in the same column as it are negated. And if you control no cards, you get to pick this card from your hand. So say your opponent's about to bring out a big blockbuster move. Use this. Negate the effect. Or if you want, you could just easily set this card face down and then nullify the abilities of everything in the same column. 3 copies. 2 more of Gym Buster, 2 more of King Overfiend, 2 of number 43 Manipulator of Souls, rank 2, 0 attack, 0 defense, 3 level 2 Dark Monsters. Once per turn, you can ditch one of these material from this card, and then target one number monster in your graveyard. Equip that target to this card. While equipped with the number card, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, and once per turn when you gain life, except during the damage step, you can make this card gain an equal amount of attack, also inflict that much damage to your opponent if this card is still face up on the field. This deck cannot gain life in any way. That is mainly here because, it equips itself with a number and then it just becomes immune to death by any means. And it can be any number. So pretty much you bring on another Manipulator of Souls and you just whip them all into defense mode, and then your opponent can't touch you. So, 2 copies. 2 copies of number Chaos 43 High Manipulator of Souls. Rank 3, sorry. 4 level 3 Dark Monsters, 0 attack and 0 defense as well. All tokens you control can make a second attack during each battle phase, and this card has a number 43 Manipulator of Souls as a season material against the following effect. Once per turn, you can ditch 1 season material from this card, especially summon 1 Manipulator token. Fiend type, Dark, level 1, attack and defense are unknown. When it's summoned, its attack and defense become equal to half the opponent's current life points. So whatever their life points is at the time, that's pretty much what this thing is halved, but pretty good. And then 1 copy of Illuminate. So that was the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment any of the decks you guys want to see, and blaze up that subscribe button. And don't forget to keep your souls blazing.